Welcome to Loleventvods. Watch the full game from EMEA Masters, Winter 2025.
Keep and prepare really well.
Ratones can't wait. She's ready about to go for the run. Also, just a small update. I just got a notification that DK Esports just won their second game as well. So there's still quite some updates coming towards these quarterfinals. But of course, let's head back towards our own stream right now. We're going towards the pick and ban phase of the fourth game. And Ratones, I noticed you took a big beat of air. You're trying to make a statement.
Yeah,
Hit it.
I mean, we've seen like a lot of adaptation actually from like the first few bans that we've seen in the series, and actually for the first time in this series, the Ivern remains
Ivern's open.
Ivern is open. The tree might be uncaged. Maybe he will be picked early. And also, interestingly, the J is getting banned now on the side of Ratones after being late open so long. But still, the first pick remains the Rel. And I think I actually like it because we're at the point where we can see how many support picks are out. We see Rakana's out, De Leona's out. Every single engaged champion that could be useful is already banned out, and normally it would have been banned before. So them leaving it open and picking the first pick is definitely a good chance in securing one of the best and maybe also the best support on this patch in a final game.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this draft to see how they want to approach as well from Los Ratones. But yes, because yes, the Ivern is open, but I also feel like there's just this really big bait card being set up by SuperMassive. Like, yeah, we will leave it open for you. Just pick it. We dare you. And now that the second rotation has been over and there is a flex pick being used in the Tristana, there's now also the opportunity for SuperMassive to say, like, we pick up the Ivern ourselves. So there are so many mind games that play this far into a series. It's going to be a Gwen.
That's super interesting. I mean, it's also somewhat flexible.
Oh
my god. That's
Sure.
so quick. There are so many picks that normally would have been banned like in the second rotation that are just getting pumped out by SuperMassive. And we now already have split push in the Yoni and the Gwen. Both extreme illegal late game scaling. We already have engaged.
And now I feel like we come back to this point.
Yeah,
Well,
they
what do
came
you do
with
with
an
Los
exception.
Ratones? You wanna
Italy?
they wanna keep on throwing tempo up inside the gameplay, because instead of maybe backing down, see if they can fight into them, it seems like Velja wants to have that agency and try to run over in the jungle. Of course, with a Brown and Tristana, you can quite easily look for picks once you're in the river, but it seems like we're in for a chaotic game, and I think as an esports enjoyer, when you got your snacks ready, this might be a good fourth game, SVM.
Yeah, this is going to be a banger no matter what, with the champions that have thus far already been locked in. But I'm just kind of looking in what kind of a direction we're actually going, because, well, at one point you see SuperMassive playing with these side lane champions. The Gwen is also theoretically still a flex pick towards the jungle, because jungle Gwen has also been played more often. And then we see Los Ratones just throwing it over a completely different side. I know that Velia has played this Nidalee before, but my personal issue, and I know that those are personal issues and not necessarily issues in a general sense, but with Nidalee is the fact that this jungler suffers from exactly the same thing as the Maokai and the Vi that we've talked about before. This champion needs to find tempo in perma-invade enemy jungle, and if there's like only one little sliver of tempo you leave behind,
Yeah,
the enemy
true.
jungle gets an opportunity to just completely snowball over
But
it.
also for Los Ratones, I feel like the setup they need to make sure that Velja can roam around freely with the Nidalee. You need some sort of momentum, sort of tempo. But also, what can you do as a team composition to make sure you can land those spears? I mean, Braum is more than fine. You got the slows, even some guaranteed stuns if you're able to land them, but still Braum is all the way down the bot lane. So what could you do for Nemesis that opens up for Velja to make sure that you can keep the tempo up, maybe invade whenever it's necessary? Rixalis, you got any ideas for them, maybe?
I mean, I don't have an idea for Ratones, but I would like a Nocturne maybe on half head of SuperMassive.
I was almost thinking, like, does he play Renekton mid, and then you just play Renekton Nidalee, the classic combination that we know in those champions, and then you shift the Tristana over to bot lane. But Kadril has a completely different approach, with the fact that Crowny is now being set onto Zaya, and SuperMassive is looking to lock themselves a mage on the bot lane, something we haven't seen this series yet. It is going to be normally a champion we think about APA or maybe Karzi if it is played on the bot lane, but now it's just locked here by Bao with SuperMassive.
That's a super sick draft from SuperMassive, I have to admit. I mean, they have like such a good like top mid and jungle synergy. I mean, they have like auto slip pushing, but they also have life kill bot lane that just can negate, wait it out, clear the minions. And meanwhile, Los Ratones is like once again throwing like everything that was left in the fridge into a soup pot and hoping that whatever comes out tastes good. We have a very defensive bot lane with like the Xayah, and now
baby!
It is going to be
they found
Grey
the fight in
Kane!
the fridge. They found
It's Grey Kane! I don't know
I
you
saw
guys
some
have seen the
comments in our
video.
chat saying, well, Kane bows. You heard it here first. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, you
Yeah.
know what? Twitch chat, of course, you're a source of very reliable information, but surely it wouldn't be a Kane. Yes, it's going to be a Kane in the top side. And we have to say, like, for all these picks we see on the board right now, there's only one thing they truly want. All of them, they just want to fight. I mean, that's what almost all of these champs are good at. Maybe except Ziggs, who's just going to throw some bombs and see whatever will happen. Rixales, with Supermassive, heading in towards a match point, what do you feel like? Which team cooked the best dinner?
I mean, so far, I cursed every team that I voted for. So, I mean, I probably would like to just say nothing, but I think Los Ratones will win this.
Okay, so we're going to the best of 5
We're going
in
for the best of 5.
totality.
Full length.
SIM. Tell me, what's about to happen, man?
I have done my research. I have seen the Grey Kane videos being made by the bows. Like, he will go 0-9 on this champion, doesn't matter. Rast will always have impact. And I'm up for a game number 5, you know? So let's just give it to Los Ratones for this one and prepare ourselves for the ultimate showdown between the Turkish League and the NLC.
Los Ratones needs to fight their way back into this series. Not only champions will die, but also the throats of our beloved casters, because there's so much action coming up. Guys, enjoy the 4th game of these quarterfinals.
Thank you, Bo, man. My throat is already suffering, and I am just looking at this draft boxer, and it's tough. It's looking tough. I don't know. We're gonna need some full Los Ratones Baus magic, I think, to get us out of this one. This is a crazy comp they've put together.
Sometimes I feel like I'm immune to weird stuff. You know, UKL, we get odd picks all the time. And as much as I know that the Baus plays this, I was still gobsmacked, because this is the single biggest game that you are going to play all year. Right? You lose this game, you are out, and it is terrible for the NLC. This is the best chance we've had in forever. And it's gonna be the Kane. Like the desk was saying, potentially the Grey Kane, where you don't even manage to do enough to get yourself a form for, like, ages. This is a wild way to make a stand. At the same time, though, if this is gonna be the end of Los Ratones in this EMEA Masters, if this is the end of the NLC in this tournament, at least they're gonna go out in the single most them way possible.
Yeah, this is quintessential rat gaming from Los Ratones. We've drafted Nidalee, we've got no other poke champions, we've got Brom frontline, and I guess we've got Red Kane, assuming he ever gets the form. And the way that Supermassive were just windmill slamming the Viego, not the Viego, the Yone and the Gwen, and they've taken the Viego away, meaning that Velia does not have that back pocket pick anymore. This feels like a very solid approach to Game 4 from the TCL #1 seed and Los Ratones. We are going to have to see something special.
Oh yeah, they're gonna need to absolutely pop off on all of these crazy picks right here. The thing is, though, as you're saying, Supermassive, I like what they've got for themselves. The Gwen has looked so strong recently. I've watched Fate Sealed just completely tear through team fights. And Bao, I think he's been having a pretty good... Hang on, Bao. Wait, does he just die instantly? Oh, just gets into the
Dude.
wall. Needed the healing from getting into the wall there to be able to survive.
What is he doing? Oh my god, it's the Baus special.
It's
We're
Baus.
level 2. Can he kill these minions? Did they not just kill him?
They are trying their darndest.
Well, Skeens is certainly going to kill him, right? He has to execute into
Yeah,
the
he
tower?
dies here somehow. Oh,
I mean, yeah.
Yikes.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to just sit back and, you know, in games 1 to 3, we gave Baus a lot of leeway. We've learned, we've watched the NLC, we know that you can't count them out. I think it's just because this is an important game block, so we're a little stressed. You see Baus giving first blood at level 2, and it gives me the fear, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as much as, you know, there's no bias, you can hear our accents, you know where we're from. It's not surprising that we're worried about this one, as it looks like Supermassive gonna go in a little bit on the bot lane. They get the flash out of Crowny, actually, so that is gonna be a real nice start. And
it's TG as well. Just the match. Doesn't have a combat summoner. Sidestep for W, which is nice. And Belly around the corner. They're going to get this stun onto Carry. The heal comes out. In comes the combination. The Rail with the crash down. Does he have the HP to make it back to safety? Barely does. Belly not able to get that first kill. Bao, though, gets stunned up. The spear flies past. And they'll get this wave crashed in. The cost of the grubs on top side.
yeah, it's a good chunk of damage. Oh, Crowley almost just died to the tower. It's all good, it's all good. I'm actually surprised that you're going to allow Bao and Carry to be able to muscle their way back in underneath the tower. They don't actually end up losing out on too much. Bao even keeps the flash right here. So you're still in a pretty good spot right now as the SUP bot lane. And yeah, we would love to go to a 5th game because we love Los Ratones, but also, you know, it's fun to cast 5. Gotta be honest though, SuperMassive have been looking so good right now, and the composition they have looks so strong, and they're already beginning to get themselves advantages around. I mean, of anybody to get that first blood, I love that Skeens picks it up, and Skeens has been having a brilliant game so far.
Arma is not wasting any time pushing on to Baus during this proxy play. TP back in from Yone to mid lane, but no Viego in the area, and Baus is just holding this wave as the red minions crash into the tower. Now he needs to get away alive for this to work out, and he is going to do so. So it's maximum psychic damage onto Arma from this top lane gameplay, and we'll see if it's enough to turn the tides right now. So far, it has been relatively even. Los Ratones slightly up in gold. And I misspoke earlier. It was not the grubs that picked up, just the scuttler for Skeens. So not a whole camp down already.
Not going to be putting themselves into a deficit quite yet. First Drake has spawned, and they are going to get the grub spawning in under a minute's time. So it'll be interesting to see where these junglers go. Because the Kayn being top lane has taken us away from the fact that this is overall a pretty wild draft anyway out of Los Ratones. The second that the Tristana was picked up, I was immediately like, I think Nemesis is going to be taking this one. It's a pretty Nemesis pick overall, and the double ADC is the sort of thing that I've seen Los Ratones like and be able to execute on pretty well. There's also a Nidalee in this game, and Nidalee is again the sort of jungler where falling behind completely devastates anything you want to do. You're ahead, those spears are so good, the amount of map control you can have, one-shot potential is brilliant. From behind, she feels basically useless, and gotta be honest, Velia hasn't had the best time so far.
Ooh, Nemesis taking damage onto Fiesta. Rex is there. Fiesta tending to the top side isn't going to open up a chance for a kill. And yeah, this feels like a game for Velia, where they've picked Nidalee and gone, you need to take over this game. You need to solo queue the heck out of this game. Because we don't have a poke composition. We don't have a composition that seems, to my eyes, to really synergize well with the Nidalee. You just need to go crazy with it, and let's see if he can do it. Bounce. That's the flash away from top side. Arm it with the needlework. Won't get too much damage down. Bounce will just pop the recall, has a TP if he needs it. Los Ratones continue their early dragon focus. Will not be contested on this Inferno.
They're going to be able to pick this one up nice and easily. Skeens can head on towards the top side and pick up the grubs for his team right here. As we've been taking a tour of the lanes, having a look at everybody on this matchup, I think the final thing to talk about is the fact that Carry gets the Rel, one of the strongest supports in the entire game at the moment. One of those ones that you usually see picked up very early on in these fearless pickups, because you really don't want to give it over to your opponents. It's such a good thing to play with. But Reckless, the Brom has been his most played so far, really had a very smooth champion pool during the group stage, and really was liking this Brom, relying on it in every single one of the series that they played to great effect. It seems like his best champion at the moment. As much as it's difficult to carry through a Brom, if anybody can do it, I mean, Reckless has looked great with it.
And yeah, he's had a solid series today, that's for sure. And now they maybe have an angle onto bot side. Bao and Carry dragged forward in the lane, and there's no flash on the rail just yet. They get the stun. This is surely going to be a dead rail, and Belliet picks up the credit. Skeens around the corner. If Los Ratones go for the dive, they might found themselves the wrong end of a Heartbreaker. It was a pad up the top lane and see Baus suffering from a flash from Armor. And there's the solo kill for the Supermassive top. Battle flashing away. Does get stunned up. Do they have the damage? Crowding, ripping the feathers back. Drops the ultimate. And Skeens to follow.
Oh, you just lose Reckless right at the very end of that one. Had the flash available. Doesn't matter, though. You're going to be more than happy with this one. 1-0-2 already on Crowny. Even after he loses out onto his summoners early on, doesn't matter. Gets back into this lane with a bang and is able to pick up a couple of kills. And that's what we were asking for as well from Velia. Steps up, makes the plays, and it seems like the bottom side of the map right now is working great for Los Ratones. The complete opposite, let's say, of what's happening top lane.
Yeah, the needlework comes back, and Barrels just kind of gets stitched up. Has the Symbiotic Souls on the way? Not done yet. So the Culvert is half done, and Armut, who has been fully on balance, the biggest influence in SUP's victory so far in the 2-1. is fed on a 2-0 Gwen top lane. This is pretty scary for me. You can see it in the gold graph. The only one ahead, but he's the most ahead of anyone.
Yeah, he is pulling himself out to a massive advantage right now, and has, I think, been the best player in this series so far. Just been stepping up for his team in a massive way. And TCL, all of their hopes are relying right now on SuperMassive. Let's see what they can do with this advantage. A Gwen in a good spot is great. Same thing alongside a Viego. But as much as early scaling, early kills is great, and you do very much need them in this game for Supermassive, their late game scaling is brilliant too. I mean, the later into the game we get, Bao's just going to begin munching through towers. We've all seen a Yone who doesn't do so good early on and just takes over the game once you get those 3 items available. This composition doesn't have to rush things right now, and Supermassive, they seem to know that. They're playing this one out with good aggression where they have it, but they just need to protect their bot lane a little bit more right now, because giving big advantages over to Velia and Crowny is definitely one of the ways they can lose this one.
Maybe threatening the dive, but Bao ults to clear the wave out. Decent damage onto Crowny as well. Makes that not a good prospect. And Los Ratones will simply back away. Velia heads back to the jungle to build on that small gold injection that he's had. 2-0-1. Skeens, of course, 2 kills of his own, keeping even on the Viego, and we cannot discount Skeens' own possibility to be a carry in his own right. Hell, we've seen Velia do crazy work on the Viego throughout the NLC season. We know this is a massive power pick for them, and Skeens not to be counted any differently. Velia is putting a lot of time to making sure this bot lane is fine. Baus is doing a decent job at, you know, just pulling the wave and kind of doing the standard Baus thing at least. Kane being a very slippery character and seems to have stabilized somewhat. Maybe for Los Ratones, this is part of the plan, as the TP coming in from Crowley, the flanking Xayah, if you believe it. Bao with no flash, they're going to isolate the Ziggs, so there's another kill into Crowley's pocket.
There we go. This is what we've been hoping to see from the bot lane of Los Ratones all day. Not being able to pop off in the way we've really been looking for until this game. This is a significant advantage down in the bottom lane at this point. And the fact that the kills are actually going where you want them to, as much fun as it was watching Reckless get triple kills and deal big damage on Janna, this is what you want. This is where the kills need to be for Los Ratones to be able to take us to a game 5. The pressure is massive, and right now Crowny stepping up in a big way. Same with Velia. We'll continue monitoring their progress throughout this one as the second round of objectives are spawning. And we're getting jumped right here. He's pretty safe. Gwen, another slippery champion. Gwen is immune and all of the dashes counted in, but it does at least mean that there should be those.
Okay, Baus committing the ultimate. Bao will just W back to the tower, and Kane will stroll away into the bot side jungle. Not really much camps to do, but there's no champions to kill him either.
Ooh.
There's a Void Grub stolen away by Skeens. Los Ratones struggling to maintain presence in this river. Crowny is currently still at the mid lane. He has a lot of their power here.
He is, and the fact that they're actually going to just be able to bully out right now and pick up all 6 of them. Now that is a big advantage for Supermassive right now, and there was no response onto the Drake because this was a play initiated by Los Ratones. They wanted to get involved around these grubs. It was unfortunate that we were watching down onto the bottom lane to see what Baus was getting up to because we weren't able to see the start of that one, how the steal was able to come about, but Skeens has shown that he's been in a good spot with the smites throughout this game. Now I'm going to transition that one into the Ocean Drake. That is at least going to be picked up by Los Ratones, and they are on 2 Drakes already, so potentially trying to play around that soul if possible.
Here's the Cloud Rift here in game number 4. Los Ratones off to a quick start with 2 picked up. They got the Feet of Warfare for themselves as well. One more epic camp or a turret. They'll have the Triumphant Boots waiting in their inventory. I think this is the game where we need to see that step up from Crowny. It's had a bit of a shaky series so far today. Some big moments, but some big missteps as well. Baus now puts pressure on Fiesta. Doesn't have the knockup. He's still in base Kane form. And a bit of damage will come through. I'm not sure if we can see, you know, how much progress Baus has on Kane. You know, we've got a lot of UI elements that kind of see passive progress, but the Kane one's pretty specific.
It would be nice to know just how close he is to getting that. Like, as much as Grey Kane is funny, it's not good. There's a reason that you want that upgraded form for yourself as quickly as possible. We pan on down towards the bottom side of the map as a fight gets engaged upon. Crowny. He's just dead.
The 1v3, isolated in the jungle. The rest of the team scatters, and a shutdown for the Viego.
Oh, that makes it really rough for Nemesis as well, who just teleported down onto this bottom lane. He's got Velia in the area, so might be okay. Still needs to get away.
Suffers away from
There
the
he is.
stun, and now actually maybe has an angle to turn this
Oh,
around.
yeah.
Carry's pretty low. Schem's ulting for safety. Belly with a spear over the wall, eats by Rail. Good defensive supporting there.
Belly
As Belly
flash.
flashing forward. He's not done. Oh, Schemes! Belly flashes away from another spear from the Nidalee. Carry still pretty darn low. Surely they can pick
they
up
get him.
one. And
Oh!
relentless is the Nidalee's advance as Carry barely holding onto his HP bar. TP in from Yone. Nemesis jumps in.
Wait.
Ults. Autos. Belia comes in with the kill. Multiple TPs from Supermassive as Fiesta just clips the Tristana. The Yone R and will get one back.
And it's at least something for Supermassive, but a complete disaster for them down in the bottom lane. Off of a proactive attempted dive, all of a sudden they lose multiple kills, giving over a ton more gold to Velia. And he was incredibly accurate with those spears throughout that fight. The fact that he was able to get that snipe off onto Scheme as well, Carry doing everything he could to have the fancy feet, wasn't able to get away either. And this is a bigger gold lead for Los Ratones in the early game than they've had for a little while. Themselves into a good spot right now. Currently pushing up in this top lane, is getting collapsed upon a little bit, knows that there's going to be a few of the opposition in the area. Things are going to reset just a little bit. We do have the Herald spawning in a minute and a half's time. Next big objective for everybody to be looking at.
Kane has elevated himself to red game form, so battles the Grey Kane has now been transitioned out of, and does have an Eclipse, has Symbiote Souls, has, you know, inexplicably managed to come out of this lane even in gold, as this is the classic Baus maneuver, right? This is a lot more confidence building, and we're looking to see who can get that first tower. Los Ratones would love to pick it up, as the ults are being committed here. Armor, I think.
Interesting.
Did he drop his needle work? Maybe he just had the few stacked up, maybe both held for now, but Baus is suddenly a lot more confident with this red Kane. He can test
There's
him in
the
the healing.
needlework.
Now the needlework comes through from Armor. Dodged out by Baus's ultimate. Looking for the solo bolo flash. Q shut down.
There we go, and this is what you pick the Kane for. It doesn't matter that you lose a couple of kills out early, he's still even in gold, despite the fact he died 3 times at the very beginning, and once you get away from that Grey Kane, once you actually get that upgraded form, now you're able to really put down the word on Armut, and picking up that kill at this point in the game, massive, just for the confidence alone, but also now you get pushed through top lane, you get pushed through bot lane, big injection of gold, and Los Ratones have cracked this game open.
Massive play for Los Ratones. These are the plays that dragged them back in Game 2, that made Game 3 take as long as it did for Supermassive. When it gets these scrappy fights out of the early game, it doesn't feel like Los Ratones had the better plan going in. They just make themselves out like bandits every time. And now they've walked out of the early game 3.5k ahead with the turret lead, with the triumphant boots as well, with the dragon lead. I was worried this was going to turn into a pretty rough game for Blockster, but all of a sudden, we are hyper chilling here.
Yeah, this is a great spot to be in this early on. The thing is, your opponents also have a very good teamfight composition. If they can get you all locked up in a couple of the big ultis, it's going to be very tricky for Los Ratones to really get to be able to play this one out. They need to keep themselves ahead right here. Baus once again in a bit of a risky situation. I don't know necessarily.
He doesn't have ult though.
Wow,
He's dropping
they
very
actually
low.
do.
He steps into the wall for a little bit of HP.
Dead.
Fiesta flashing in on the Q just to make sure. Well executed by Carry and Fiesta. Supermassive not to be disturbed there. They will step back. They get a Herald as well. This top lane tower is going to fall on the next wave, you have to imagine. But Belia is working on the Dragon, so another early soul point for the Rats.
Yeah, but we've seen this one before, right? And it didn't end up in Los Ratones' favor. They didn't get themselves that soul in the end and ended up just sort of running around for a while. Eventually they get it, but then it's not quite the moment they needed it in. See this one going differently though. Supermassive very much have been happy to just give up these Drakes, perfectly contented with what they've been finding for themselves so far. Like you said, with a lot of towers falling, a lot of gold at least being pulled back for Supermassive, it very much is this soul point going to be a big impactful thing here.
Absolutely. Those critical fights are the places where I fear most for Los Ratones, honestly. Because there I feel the lack of a front line, the lack of team kind of compositional synergy, at least on the surface here, is really frightening for me as an NLC fan, because SuperMassive, they've got solid dive options. Yes, it's quite heavily melee, but they've got the Ziggs to back it up. They've got carries Rel to drag the Los Ratones members together. This feels like a very dangerous theater to play on if Los Ratones end up in those objective fights. We need to see a bit more of the hit and run gameplay that has been working well for them in this early game off the back of the middle.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right to call out just how short-ranged a lot of this is. Espouse gonna go in right here. I mean, you may be able to bully Armor around, but Fiesta's very strong at the moment. 8 seals just misses. But this is bad.
On range, Val's being dragged back to the tower, gets decent healing and the knockup with more damage. Fiesta has to step out, but will step right back in, and Skeens gifted the kill. Another great rotation from SuperMassive punishes Baus.
Yeah, you really can't ulti in that situation. The second that you use the Umbral Trespass as Baus, you're just committing yourself to getting pulled way further back. And Fiesta has more than enough healing right here with the Bork to be able to live through this one in a very strong spot as well. And this is a Yone only one item. As much as you are in a good spot at that point, you're still waiting 2 more items for Yone to really hit that mark, pop off all the way. So good kill right there from SuperMassive, and it is how short-ranged a lot of these members of SuperMassive are, because if you can get these big ultis off, get into the backline and be backed up by Bao, wonderful. At the same time though, Nemesis Crowny, these are champions with a lot of survivability and movement tools that can keep you alive. It's going to be all about their spacing and what the rest of the members of Los Ratones can do to buy them that space, to be able to keep their carries alive long enough, because once you get that first kill down right here for Los Ratones, sure, it's not a jinx with a get excited, but it still puts you into a very good spot.
It certainly does. You have plenty of options to play through right here. Los Ratones picking up some camps. SuperMassive, you can see a little bit of confidence there. Carry stepping forward, trying to get some vision down. They know especially this Yone and Viego combination. Skeens and Fiesta have so much power coming into the mid game. 2 items deep on the Yone already. Fiesta continuing to play every single type of mid laner possible. And that Yone is going to be a terror in the team fight as it goes forward. Has been executing very well in this lane into a ranged matchup. It's been a long old series, but the SuperMassive mid jungle has been a very quality part of it.
Have been, but we are very much hoping for it to be an even longer series right now. Game number 5, whichever way game number 5 goes, I just want more of this. These teams have been delivering in the entertainment factors. Once again, we're going to get a little bit of a 1v1.
Baus with the ultimate gets away from the Q. The HP lead right now, but Fiesta with the shield bow and the Blade of the Rune Kick can heal up off the wave a little bit. Baus now with a red buff as well can give him a little bit of assistance.
Oh, he gets
Both
the ulti
knockups
off.
Traded. The Fate sealed. Baus dropping ever lower, has to flash away. Fiesta snaps back to the body. It's going to be all about who hits those critical cooldowns. Fiesta, though, he doesn't have anything to stack his Q off, and Baus is going to head over to the wave. Knows he doesn't actually have to commit to this one to the death, and goes back to the push.
Yeah, and same sort of thing right here for Fiesta, where he's more than happy to just go get the wave, use that to be able to heal up a little bit onto. Whilst that top lane 1v1 was happening, my eyes were kind of glued to the minimap, because everybody on the rest of the map was posturing at each other, potentially looking for a fight.
Here comes Baus. Fiesta has a TP as well, but he's going to be a little bit behind the curve. He's looking for Bao. This Ziggs, Agreston flashes early. There's a W to get him to safety. He's managed to get away for now, but Los Ratones have isolated Skeens, and Nemesis picks up the first kill. Now Armut's arrived. Baus holding that line as usual, carry with a stun. Fiesta looking for the follow-up, but Los Ratones, they've taken the jungler, and they need no more.
And this is what they need, right? Because 30 seconds time and the next Drake is going to spawn. Skeens will be alive, but it's going to take him a long while to be able to sprint over to this one. Should be enough time for Los Ratones to be able to pick themselves up the soul if they want it. So get a lot of vision around this Atacant too. Los Ratones, they're just making this pick composition work for themselves. And Skeens also had to flash during that engage, so just has put himself in a pretty risky situation for the re-engage as well.
Velia doing all the work of a poke composition with simply one champion. Oh my goodness, Bao is suffering. Armut already had to delay his own recall, so this should be relatively cut and dry for Los Ratones. They've got the timing done. It's another early soul. Just excellent dragon control from Los Ratones generally across this series. Maybe Fiesta has to ult to safety. Gets stunned up, takes a lot of damage. Yone able to survive it now straight into the Atacant. Los Ratones from objective to objective. They want to keep this rolling. Skeens, though, finally has had time to arrive. He's a pretty tanky boy with a lot of HP to play with.
And let's see if he's going to be able to jump into this one. I think Los Ratones making the right decision here. Back up. You don't need to throw everything away right now. Baus also getting jumped. Actually, Armor gonna blow the needlework. Doesn't particularly get too much damage down onto Baus. And sure, you can try to dive him here. I don't know if that's gonna work. Nemesis doesn't get the kill onto Fiesta, but the mid lane tier 1 will fall. And this is just win after win for Los Ratones.
SuperMassive instead going for a turret trade. Now they peel back, possibly for the Atacama, but they're instead channeling recalls. They don't feel good about their position here, especially with Yone basically out of the action. You can see on the damage graph, Fiesta's been a huge part of their successes, along with Bao on the Ziggs. So the Atacant will be allowed to live for a little longer, but Los Ratones seems like they are winning out across the map, and Bausi, despite being 1 of 5, slowly growing that gold lead over Arma on the Gwen.
But it's not particularly translating into item advantages at the moment is the thing. You're not in such a strong position right now that you can't just run through this game, right? SuperMassive, they are fine. They're still keeping themselves close enough. 3k the gold lead for Los Ratones. I feel like I've said that a million times so far in this series. That's not the end of the world for them. It's all about if they can hit these big ultis, because in that previous team fight, Skeens gets caught immediately. Armor isn't really able to do his thing. Fiesta, Bao, none of those ultis hit, and it's all about the ultis for the SuperMassive composition.
Getting aggressed on once again, but Nemesis is there to support. TP coming in from Crowny as well. Skeens once again the target from Los Ratones. Fiesta flashless, remember, down to half HP. Bow over the wall. The Yone ultimate just about keeps him alive, but he is out of action. No teleport, nothing left to offer as Crowny turns his attention to Atacon. This is going to reset though. Los Ratones will peel back. Supermassive recoalescing. Trying to step back again. Still 4v5 for the time being, but they're given the space.
Getting this team fight to happen nice and slowly. This return is more than happy to just use Baus and Reckless right now as bodyguards buy themselves the space to be able to take down this Atakan. It doesn't fall that quickly, but still, it's going to fall quickly enough. That's going to be the objective picked up right here for Los Ratones, and they are doing everything in their power in this game to send us to a game number 5.
Well managed by Los Ratones, fighting over that space in the river, not overcommitting. Baus always holding a dangerous flank, but never going too far. And of course, Crowny, Nemesis, they've got good disengage. Reckless on the Brom can always slow up the assaults from SuperMassive. They can't find their way back in. And Nemesis, we saw onto Skeens, onto Fiesta. This Tristana is already really starting to hurt. Approaching that third item, Infinity Edge already done. We are going to get that double AD carry composition for Los Ratones online just before long.
This is exactly what you needed to do as Los Ratones, as much as they had a couple iffy moments.
Stun again, Nemesis jumping in. Do they have to find a little bit of damage? Yes, they do. This time the kill sticks.
And that's the kill you needed to be able to open up for the Baron right now. Los Ratones immediately heading back on over there. They don't have their full members. Baus is currently pushing Armor around. Armor trying to potentially get himself a solo kill back. Does decent amounts of damage right now, but Baus very slippery at the moment. Los Ratones, they started up this Baron. Fiesta even misses the ulti, oh no!
Crown is going to simply sidestep it, makes it look easy, and Belia left to finish it up. Baus stunned up by carry over the wall. Armor, does he have enough in him to get the job done here? Surely Bao as well. This is a delaying tactic. Goes golden, even Armor does. A W come through the Baus. If he can get through the wall, gets another knock up. The Ziggs ult is there. Armor has to flash away. A summoner taken off from Baus on the top side. He's going to lose his Baron buff, but he certainly wasted a lot of time. Look at this top lane tower. That is not going to survive.
Exactly. 3 members all the way down in the bottom lane, and they haven't even been able to push.
Oh
my god, Nemi just going to be able to pick up that kill. This Tristana is in such a strong position. They weren't even able to push the bottom wave, is what I was trying to say. So there's now 3 waves pushed into a good spot right here for Los Ratones. They can keep up the pressure right now. It feels like SuperMassive, as much as their composition could find big team fights, they just haven't been able to get these ultis off at any point, and they've been really struggling with the short-range nature of their composition.
That is such a telling moment for Fiesta, when if he just goes into melee range onto Tristana, he doesn't win anymore. That is a big issue, right? If you go into Crowny, he can ult. Belia jumps away, Baus can ult onto you, and now Nemesis, the only one without like a super obvious escape tool, he'll just punch you in the face and you'll fall down. So this is going to make the fights a lot harder for Fiesta to manage. Carry though on the front line, trying to crash down, but stunned up by the Brom, and certainly in the wrong place at the wrong time. Nemesis goes on a rampage as Los Ratones once again full control of this river.
And they're just going to be able to chase right now. Baus into the backline, gets on top of Bao. See if they can pick up this main carry here for SuperMassive.
Get the flash at least, dashing forward, Reckless and Baus are indomitable. They get that first kill, in comes Fiesta, but Crowley flanking in again on the Xayah, and Nemesis and the rest of Los Ratones have wiped out SuperMassive. Fiesta is the only one left, and Bloxer, it feels like in the last couple of minutes, this game just completely fell apart for the TCL.
It really has. The second that those 2 to 3 items were completed for Los Ratones, they've been able to push forwards. They've still got another minute left on the Baron as well. The death timers are relatively short at the moment, but there's a chance that this game is just over.
Carries the engagement, Nemesis again hunting down Fiesta, dominating in this one, and just like that, it's clinical. It's back to game 1 levels after game 2 and 3. I did not expect something this cut and dry. Los Ratones, they take us the full distance. It's a 5-game screamer, Bloxer. How else could it have gone?
It could be no other way.